Either way, the voiceover is telling us the plot of the episode, and that is that Mindy is invited to her ex Josh's wedding. This is a dumb plot line that sitcoms love to do. I get it, it's rife for tension, and tension usually breeds comedy, but come on. Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of The Mindy Project. If you're enjoying these episodes, or if you're just a fan of The Mindy Project and you enjoy consuming content about it, please consider subscribing and or following. Like the episode, comment, email your questions, suggestions, whatever to info@therankpodcast.com. Please also consider becoming a patron on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast. Now, today we're going to be ranking the 10th episode of the second season of The Mindy Project called Wedding Crushers, written by Lang Fisher and directed by Charles McDougall. For all of our new listeners / watchers, just so you know what the show layout is like, we start off with potent notables, which are just some interesting facts or tidbits about the episode. Then we go into the episode overview, where I talk about what happens in the episode, and then we do the rank, where I rank the episode in 5 categories. And the whole premise here is that we're trying to figure out what's the best sitcom of all time. So we take a sitcom series, we rank every single episode one by one. We take the average of those rankings, and that gives us the score for the series. In this case, The Mindy Project, and this is out, it's available, so there are going to be spoilers. That's your spoiler warning. All right, so let's dive into the episode here, starting with the potent notables.
Potent notables.
The 10th episode of the second season aired Tuesday, November 26, 2013. Thankfully, Mindy went back to 2.7 million viewers. I had been a little worried when it dropped to 2.4 last week, so I'm glad to see it was just an aberration. Interestingly, it actually had more competition because ABC had Dancing with the Stars on, which got a whopping 14.8 million viewers, but it looks like that ate into the NCIS Los Angeles audience more than Mindy and New Girl's audience, because NCIS Los Angeles went down to 12.3 million, which is the lowest I think I've ever seen it. Over on NBC, they had The Voice, which had 10.3 million. So for Fox's Tuesday lineup, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was the top show in the 8:30 slot, and Mindy was the weakest. Again, at least it still beat Supernatural, but if it had kept its audience from last week, it would have been tied because Supernatural actually had 2.4 million viewers this week. Every week, I can't believe that this show didn't catch on with more people. For those who were wondering, Dancing with the Stars won the night. When Josh is cutting the powdered sugar into lines like cocaine, the name on the credit card he's using is Greg Daniels, who worked with and hired Mindy Kaling for The Office. Also, if you watched / listened to last week's episode of The Rank, you'd know that we highlighted Greg Daniels in the Potent Notables as well. So that's fun. Now, Max Minghella, who plays Danny's openly gay younger brother in this episode and in a few more upcoming, is the son of director Anthony Minghella. He's been in a bunch of movies, including breakouts in B Season and The Social Network, but this was the first time he had done anything in TV. Of course, now he's perfectly well known as Commander Nick Blaine in Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. But how did this seemingly serious actor end up on The Mindy Project? Well, he was apparently a self-proclaimed super fan of the show. According to co-star Ike Barinholtz, the opportunity came about organically. Minghella ran into Mindy Kaling at a party and asked, quote, "When are you going to put me on the show?" So she delivered. Minghella called the experience surreal, explaining, quote, "I loved the show and it was intimidating to jump into something so well established." So there you go, Max Minghella. So there's all the potent notables. Let's go to the episode overview. So we get a call back to Mindy's voiceovers to start the episode, which was fun. I always really enjoyed those. I completely understand why they didn't keep doing them, but man, it would have been impressive if they could have kept it up for their whole run. Either way, the voiceover is telling us the plot of the episode, and that is that Mindy is invited to her ex Josh's wedding. This is a dumb plot line that sitcoms love to do. I get it, it's rife for tension, and tension usually breeds comedy, but come on. You guys did this for your pilot, which was hilarious, by the way, but at least in the pilot you presented it like Mindy and Bill Hader were great friends. Why would Josh have invited her? And why would she accept the invitation? It makes no sense.
They're just good friends.
So we're going to get introduced to the B story real quick as well, because Danny is going to beg off from going to the wedding with Mindy because his brother Richie is coming to town. Naturally, Mindy is going to refuse to go alone and ends up deciding on going with Peter, who convinces her that he's a better option than a male escort service. So while Mindy goes to the wedding, Danny is throwing a party for his little brother, who everyone suspects is gay and thinks he might be trying to come out to Danny. That plot line is kind of quickly done away with when Danny is super aware that he's gay. I mean, the kid went to a Halloween party dressed is Sharon Stone from Basic Instinct, which, does that mean he went commando?
Let's not think about that right now.
Anyway, it was the right move. Not him going commando. I mean, it was the right move that they moved on from this storyline of like, is he going to come out really quickly? Though they end up going with something else heavy instead, that Richie is trying to get Danny to have a relationship with their father, who he's estranged from. This was actually a compelling and touching part of the episode, which was in a very stark contrast to the wedding. Now, at the wedding, Peter shows off his wedding persona, Mr. Wedding. And I was a little convinced that Mindy and him were going to end up hooking up. But while there is hooking up, it's not between Peter and Mindy, it's between Peter and the freaking bride. Yikes. Honestly, the fact that Peter was still there afterward and just everything about this is nuts. As much as I've been enjoying Adam Pally, and he was funny in this one as well, this was not good. I mean, why are we even trying to make Josh a sympathetic character here? You got us to like him, then you made him a dick, and now you want us to feel bad for him and his addiction? I mean, I did, but yikes. But back to the Castellano party, the brothers have a fight, and then Jeremy intervenes and the argument is quashed. The resulting conversation was actually pretty touching. Eventually, Mindy and Peter show up at the party, having left the wedding early, and Danny says, "How was the wedding?" Peter says, "I got laid," and Mindy says, "And I ruined it," which was a fun way to end it. Kind of a mixed bag here, but let's see how it ranked.
Oh, wait.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then we also have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. Now, before I dive into the rankings, I just want to mention again, please leave a like if you're enjoying the episode. It really does help us out. But let's go to the first category, which is story. Story, I gave a 2.25. It's not necessarily a bad story, but it just feels like such an overused one in sitcoms. Plus, it was the pilot episode story. We just did that again. Mindy gets invited to an ex's wedding inexplicably, then even more inexplicably, she goes. That's the story. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 4.5. Despite it being an overused plot, the acting is pretty good. I enjoyed Adam Pally in this quite a bit, and I'm really enjoying him as part of the show. He's been such a great addition. They haven't been relying as heavily on Morgan in these episodes lately because Adam Pally's here. Though I will say, I think it's like 5 laughs less per episode without him in it as much. So I kind of miss it. So let's go to dialogue, which I gave a 3.5. You know, the plot is tired and the laugh counter wasn't huge, which you'll find out soon enough. Feels like they mailed this one in a bit. Fun to see Josh back, but he's lost a little of his bite at this point. So let's go to episode coherence, which I give a 4. There's clear growth for Danny, Mindy, Peter, and even Jeremy to a certain extent. I can't picture Jeremy running after someone last season to help Danny. And as far as the plot of the episode, it was easy to follow and cohered well. The big but here is that in what world do people get invited to their ex's weddings? And even in that world, why would you ever say yes? I'll dive in a little bit more in the next category, which is character relatability, which I gave a 3. I can't go less than 3 because while the situation Mindy finds herself in is entirely unrelatable because it's dumb, it's not like everyone's unrelatable because of it. Danny and Richie have a touching brotherly relationship that was fun to see and relatable. Peter banging the wife on her wedding night, not so much. Richie trying to convince Danny to try having a relationship with her father, relatable. Mindy standing up in front of everyone at her ex's wedding and saying she banged the groom, not so much. So mixed. But anyway, that leads us to the laugh counter, and it got me 13 times. So it's a decent laugh counter, which means it probably will stay above the 3 low tiers of rankings here. And it does, because it puts the grand total at a 30.25 for the episode, which makes it, I'd watch it again, just barely staying out of meh. Mediocre. Now, as for the series average, it goes to a 35.2, just keeping it in the holy grail. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can see that on our website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider becoming a patron on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. And once again, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like. But I will leave you with this. They almost changed Peter's nickname to Big Pun instead of Mr. Wedding, because he's not a wedding player, he just crushes a lot.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Now, when Josh is cutting the powdered sugar, when Josh is cutting the powdered, fuck.
Take 3.
When Josh is,